This is such a great trade for Buffalo. I think we will see a really, really strong start coming right out the gates for Amari Cooper.
That run scheme mixed with Cooper as the X receiver on these play action passes, it makes a lot of sense.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
May be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
This is such a great trade for Buffalo. It's such a great trade for Amari. And again, I'm going to go back to the whole vibe check thing here. But I mean, Amari Cooper looked like he had basically checked out, man. Like he's like, this offense stinks, man. I can't do anything here. I just think, and this has been true for Amari's entire career, where if he gets motivated, if he gets fed targets early and he's engaged, he's one of the best players in the NFL, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but you got to get him engaged. I just think with this team change and the scenery change, I think we will see a really, really strong start coming right out the gates for Amari Cooper.
All right, yeah. Before we talk about this stuff with the Bills and like impact with the Bills and things like that, let's talk about Amari Cooper with the Browns, because I'm glad you want to go right to vibes because, I mean, it was on my radar from week one when there was like a shot of him coming out of the huddle and he's like just kind of rolling his eyes. I'm immediately like, something's off here. Something's not right on this one. And I know that he was kind of holding out in the offseason, but he got his contract, restructured and things like that. So I don't really know. I didn't think it was a money thing. I think it's he knows the quarterback can't play. Yep. I mean, he cannot play football. I think I read the Bill Barnwell stats off on it was on this podcast, right?
Yeah,
yesterday.
it was.
I mean, just disgusting, right? I mean, it's the
horrendous.
Statistically, it is the worst offense like in NFL history. Basically, is what's going on in Cleveland right now, and you can't tell me a guy like Amari Cooper, who you said it. The book on him is that he is like when he's in, he's in. When he's out, we could have some issues here. You can't tell me a guy like that you didn't do the Men in Black like memory thing on him. I've seen that movie, by the way. You didn't do the Men in Black movie thing on him, the memory thing, and he doesn't remember what just happened a few freaking months ago when he was going for 200-yard games with Joe Flacco in this offense. So he knows what's up here, and a stat on this, and people who listen to my stuff are going to be sick of me saying this stat, but I gotta say it here anyways. Fantasy Points data does a great job, charting plays, things like that. They have a whole great data tool. They have a stat called Uncatchable Air Yards from inaccurate throws. Amari Cooper has 352 air yards on inaccurate, uncatchable throws. 352 air yards. He has 676 total air yards on the season. That means over half, 52.1%. Of his air yards are just completely uncatchable because the quarterback is inaccurate. That's non-functional. I know Cooper has dropped passes. Okay, he has like a 9% drop rate on the year. He's left some. I will say I charted 2 games. We're going to talk about those games. Yep. Some of these passes are definitely because he gets his hands on him because you got to chart. So you chart it as a drop because he's open in the middle of the field. He gets his hands on him, but that ball is so early. He's got to adjust to it. So it's a drop, but it's still probably on the quarterback here. I haven't been watching a lot of Browns film this year because I know what's going on there. These 2 games charting Amari Cooper, not a good time.
Ugly. Okay, give me
from
some
a Browns offense perspective.
Yeah, I'm sure. Give me some stats here, though. Give me some RP stats, man. What are we looking at? I mean, first of all, we know that he's absolutely struggled. 45% catch rate right now through 6 games or whatever it is. And golly, I mean, he's seeing the targets. He's seeing plenty of targets, that's for sure. He's just not catching a lot of footballs, and he has 0 100-yard games. Shoot, he has 0 90-yard games. As a matter of fact, he's only cracked 60 yards. He's cracked 60 yards just 2 times. He's got 60 yards in week 5 and 86 yards in week 3. So the production certainly hasn't been there. The efficiency certainly hasn't been there. Again, when I go back and I watch Amari Cooper, man, I'm like, man, this guy is not he's not engaged at all. What is going on? But give me some RP numbers in regards to Amari Cooper. What's his success rates been looking like against man and zone?
Yeah, man coverage actually really good, like around 73% against man and press, which is right in line with his first season in Cleveland. That was, in my opinion, his best season in his NFL career. Was his before arriving in Cleveland. I think this was his best season to me. These first 2 years of the Browns were his best years of his career. I've always been a little bit like mixed on Cooper. You know, he gets his he gets his reputation as like a great route runner and stuff like that. He's not really a great like technician, great separator, great route runner. He's more of like a great vertical player. And when he can really use those kind of like exaggerated double moves and he gets in and out of those breaks quickly, he can snap you off and make big plays in the vertical game. And that fits so well in Cleveland's offense because you're looking at these like big digs, crossing routes, big post routes, big overs, etc. on play action. I think that's where he's really going to fit in Buffalo's offense because he's still playing X receiver, 78.6% snaps on the line of scrimmage in the 2 games I charted, Eagles, Giants, and he's only in the slot on 17%. You know, so again, true, he moves around a little bit, but he is an X receiver. I think that's where he's going to play in Buffalo. I think Buffalo has the worst outside wide receiver play in the NFL from like a separation standpoint. They do not have guys that can get open on the outside. Keon Coleman can't do it at this point in his career. Right. I'm actually kind of excited to see if they move Coleman around a little bit. Mac Hollins is not that guy. Curtis Samuel he's not been a full-time player for them. No. Maybe he can get a little more involved. He had a couple of nice plays on Monday night. Maybe as he gets
just
healthier.
cut MVS.
They just cut MVS. Again, a guy who can't get open on the outside, and Khalil Shakir is a slot receiver who's a really good separator. But again, he's not healthy right now either. So 73% success rate versus man, 73 against press. Actually over 80% in these 2 games against zone coverage for Amari Cooper.
Wow,
the thing is just he doesn't get open on like 9 routes and corner routes really. Where he really thrives is slants and digs and posts. Those numbers are all fantastic in terms of like individual route success rate for Amari Cooper. And those routes right now in these 2 games made up 40.9% of his routes. That's where I imagine he's going to make a big impact with Buffalo. It's going to be on in-breaking routes. This is a run-heavy team. They run a lot of like gap runs, like attacking runs. That run scheme, especially with Ray Davis now emerging in the backfield too, mixed with Cooper as the X receiver on these play action passes, it makes a lot of sense. Even if Cooper, maybe he's a little bit lesser of a player, I don't know. We'll see. Even just if he wins on those routes, it's a big upgrade for Buffalo.
Okay, you talk about this outside wide receiver production. You're really again. I don't think you're not out of. You're not over your skis on this. The Bills have gotten the 4th fewest yards from outside wide receivers thus far, according to Next Gen Stats. The only teams worse in this department are the Tennessee Titans, again, not because of the receivers, but because of the quarterback. The Chargers, who, again, they're trying to work it through with Quentin Johnston, right? And also they just don't throw the ball a lot. And then New England. That's it. Those are the only 3 teams that have gotten less production from a receiving standpoint than the Buffalo Bills. And again, the Buffalo Bills have Josh Allen. They got Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Like, golly. So although you did say that they have the worst outside wide receiver, I might have to say it might be New England. I think it might be New England. New England's they don't got nothing on the outside, man. Like, whatever. I mean, Jalen Polk is a young player, but shoot, man, they got nothing out there, which is tough right now.
But here's the thing: when we talk about these guys who are just the guys who are out there, okay, you just look at like, and I'm not talking about reception perception success rate. Now, when I quote this stat, I'm talking about like down distance efficiency success rate, like production success rate. You look at the top 5 receivers on the team. So it's Mac Hollins, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, MVS. Just put aside Curtis Samuel because he isn't really playing outside wide receiver. So Hollins, Coleman, Khalil Shakir, MVS. Let me just read you off their success rates on their targets right now.
Okay.
Khalil Shakir, 61.9%. Really, really good. That's actually 10th best in the NFL.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, 45%.
Oh, boy.
Mac Hollins, 36.8%.
Oh, boy.
MVS, 22%.
Oh, man. Here we go.
22%.
Oh,
That's
boy.
what we're
Here we
working
go.
with the Buffalo Bills. Like just the dramatic difference between when they're throwing to Khalil Shakir versus
Right.
when they're throwing to everybody else.
that's
Now,
crazy.
you know, Amari Cooper didn't look good in that stat because none of the Browns receivers look good in that stat because tell me, I wonder why that might be. So again, I think Cooper coming in here, we're gonna take Keon Coleman out of that X receiver position. We're gonna put Amari Cooper in. We're getting a big upgrade there.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, talk to me about where Keon Coleman's playing. Is he gonna play more in the slot? Is he gonna play more off the line of scrimmage? I hope so,
think so.
because
Yeah.
people that have followed Reception Perception, you know, I've seen the videos on YouTube, we've seen it in the profile on the website. This is a guy that I think Coleman can really thrive as that big power slot receiver. Now, he's not going to take the slot receiver gig fully because Khalil Shakir is there. But if he is, you know, kind of alternating slot flanker with Khalil Shakir, now I think we could really have something in Coleman from a rookie perspective.
Yeah, I really want to see him, you know, off the line, getting away from press coverage, and kind of sort of being on the backside of a lot of plays too. You know, if Amari's going to be your primary read on a lot of these plays, and he ends up getting, you know, blanketed a little bit, like go to the backside. Let's see where Keon Coleman is at. The one thing I'll say about Keon Coleman, and this has definitely been true throughout his collegiate profile, and in the limited action we've seen in the pros, the guy just can make plays, right? Like, the fact that he's a big play kind of sort of, he's got that big play potential. That part of it really excites, I think, a lot of folks out there, and it certainly is a much needed boost, a shot in the arm for this Buffalo Bills offense. That, I mean, again, when you go back with in 2023 with Stephon Diggs, a diminished player was Stephon Diggs, and again, I don't know how mentally engaged he was in that offense, especially after what we've seen in 2024 in Houston. But just the big play potential just wasn't quite on the menu last year, and I do think it's back on the menu here with somebody like Keon Coleman, who can give you some of that verticality as well. And by the way, Amari Cooper is still a big play waiting to happen as well. So they're adding some of these explosive, you know, style players into this offense, and I think that's going to be great. Meanwhile, Khalil Shakir, great chain mover. You got James Cook. He's a potential explosive player as well. Ray Davis, an explosive player. Man, this Buffalo offense, man. Shoot, you add one player into this mix, man. You know what I'm talking about? You add just Amari Cooper into this mix, and it's not like as if Amari Cooper is a top 10 receiver in this league or anything. No. It's just you add him into this mix, and all of a sudden, everyone else just sort of kind of clicks into place, and I think that's what makes it really exciting for Buffalo.